All right, hey, Redemption family. So today I have my good friend Lisa Eichelberger with me, and I'm going to be talking to her about becoming our Director of Women's Ministry and Care. And so many of you know Lisa. Many of you ladies have actually been in her home back when we could have in-house gatherings, and God willing, we'll do again this year. Many of you do know her. She and her family have been around Redemption for, how long, 3 or 4 years now?
Yeah, I think about 4 almost.
Okay, awesome. And so Brian Eichelberger, he leads us in worship often with Dan and the other guys. And so many of you even know their kids through Redemption Kids Ministry. So Lisa has reached out over our Director of Women's Ministry and Care position that came open in September or October, around there. And we really feel inclined to go with her. Over the last several months, I have interviewed a number of brilliant candidates that have applied for this particular role outside of our church and even outside of our city and state, and talked with several different people, all very capable and qualified women. But as I got to meet with you, Lisa, and we got to talk more and more, and then Lisa met with our elders and our personnel and finance team, and our staff's been talking about it a lot. We really feel as though God has you, Lisa, here for such a time as this. So this video sets up the opportunity for our church to hear a little bit about you, and then our church members will then go to vote on this.
Great.
So anyway, so what I want you to do is just tell me a little bit about yourself, your family, and then calling, and kind of what this role is going to look like and what you hope to bring to the table. So go for it.
All right. I am really excited to be here. I have spent a lot of time praying for our church, praying for the women. So let's see. I'm married to Brian. We've been married for 12 years. We have 4 kids together, who you know.
I do know them. I like them.
And some of you guys know. And I, just like a funny part of our story, Brian and I got married and found out 1 month later that we were pregnant. And So I was quickly thrust into motherhood, and at the time decided to stop working and go into that role. And
where were you working?
I was working at Canlis Restaurant at the time. I worked there for 3 years.
Love them.
I love them. I will always have a very, they're just precious family. All of them. I love everything that, they stand for.
How they go about it.
I do. And so anyways, I learned a lot there. The way that they serve their staff is, I came away with an understanding of that, what they poured into me was what they wanted me to, how they wanted me to serve the guests, and the time and the money even, and all that the guests brought was something they were entrusting us with. And so
that's cool.
I got a really good lesson there in learning to serve people out of love.
And you were there for a few years.
Yeah, I was there for 3 years.
That's great.
Yeah, I started from low down and made my way up to server, and it was just a really sweet time. We took Lucy there for her 10th birthday last year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really special.
It's the best.
So 4 kids. Lucy's our oldest. She's 11, almost 12. And then we have all that goes down to 4, Peter, Erland, and then Rudy. And we've been serving in ministry for many years now. And I think that's something that I've come to see as a calling on my life, is that I think supporting Brian in his role as just being ministering to people through music, I've been in the background of that a lot more, but served alongside him. And I think it's taken years for me to realize I am called to this also. And I worked at our old church. I taught and I was very involved in the women's ministry there, and have taken a break. But I love women. I think I understand many different, just being a woman myself, I understand a lot of different facets of how God created us and what he is calling us to, and just what the struggles are and the temptations and the difficulties and the pains. And so my heart is to be someone who can just support, care for, encourage, and like serve. I really want to serve the women of our church. And I hope that they hear that today, that I'm just like here for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. This role is very much so, it's a care role. Director of Women's Ministry and Care. It's a very much so, it's a pastoral role. It's a shepherding role. It's a looking after people's well-being.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What about that, like, knowing that in ministry, you get a front row seat to all kinds of things in people's lives.
Yeah.
You're there at the greatest moments, you're there in the mundane moments, and you're there in like the really, really hard moments that we all end up in.
Yeah.
What about that in particular makes you go, I so want to do that? Because you don't have just like the Instagram highlight reel of ministry going on in your mind. You're also getting a front row seat to really hard stuff too.
Yeah.
What makes you go, oh, I got to get out of bed on Monday and do that?
Man, I want to see people whole. I want to see people alive in Jesus. And I know as Christians, I know that God loves every single person in the world. I strongly believe that. And I know that if you know that you are loved and called Jesus your King and your Father, and he's you love him and know his love for you, that like God's Spirit is in you. And so there's just so much power in that. And I don't mind the mess. Like the mess is an important part of what we walk through. And that is part of, to me, like that's part of what's making us holy. That's our sanctification, is walking through that. So I am so here to walk through any mess. And I just want all the women to know you are each different, and you don't need to like look like me. You don't need to be doing the things that I'm doing. You don't need to have a family. You don't need to be single. I just feel like really called to a diversity of people and women. And so I just want everyone to know that your story is yours and it's good. And I want to be here to walk through that with you. And I want us to walk through it together. It's like, it's really something that I think we can all do. Every single person has something to give here.
That's so awesome. I love hearing that, like especially in reference to women's ministry.
Yeah.
You know, oftentimes in like an evangelical church, we get this like very narrow vision of life. You grow up, you get married. That's just assumed.
Yeah.
You're going to have kids. That's assumed. It's assumed that you're just going to have the perfect job and the perfect spouse and the perfect life and whatever, right? Like we get this kind of narrow, kind of American dreamy thing handed to us.
Yeah.
But the Bible doesn't paint the American dream in that sense.
No.
Some are single, some are widowed, some get married later in life, some get married and their marriages are very difficult. Like life is, it's not just like you know?
Yeah.
I love that, like, as you go into that role, that's how you're thinking just comprehensively about everybody, not just one demographic, you know?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I want that to be really heard, that
that's awesome.
I love for wherever people are at. That's okay. That's okay. God is so powerful and he grows us. It's only his work. So, yeah.
I want to ask you a question about Brian.
Yeah.
Because Brian's one of my best friends in the whole world.
Me too.
And for you, for sure. How, with you guys, like praying through this and like talking it through in ministry, you know, it's 100% about your spouse's support too. Yeah. It's a unique role in that way. I know Brian has your back. And how's that looked for you guys, just as you sit at your coffee table and talk about this stuff?
Yeah. It's been so good. We are coming. It's been a big deal for us to consider going back into it, like working for a church. So Brian and I got to spend a week in September going through an intensive therapy session that was pretty instrumental in just really going deeper into even just our hurts from our past church.
Yeah.
Or from Mars Hill. I don't know if we say that.
It's okay.
And, where Brian worked. And I think now we just have such a heart. We still have that heart for God's church, and Brian does too. He's so for me, but he's really for God, the church. We are just like both together in that want to do, like, spend our lives just serving the church, like serving people, and hopefully being we want everyone to feel built up. So if we can do that, and we're here for that, both of us. And so Brian is really different than me, and he is so helpful. I don't think I could do it without him, but his insights, his prayers, his questions make me stronger and better and more understanding, because he's not like me. So
great.
Yeah, he's for us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Last thing.
Yeah.
You're going to need a team around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of really, helpful, competent women that can come around and surround you, to help you facilitate all kinds of things. Because it can't just be one person, right? Running point.
Yeah.
I mean, you're running point, but you need a team that can complement you well.
Yeah.
Our staff is here to do that for sure. But there's also going to be, we're going to need others.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you think about that, what are the kinds of roles that you're going to need help in? Like, if you think, hey, we need a few ladies to raise their hands, what would those roles look like?
Man, I'm really interested in women who are interested in prayer, both a couple different kinds of prayer. I'm very, I watched Mark's video and I was so encouraged, because right now I'm really excited about prayer and contemplative prayer. I'm interested in women who want to come alongside, who know the Bible and who want to pray in the Word with other women. I think written prayer is really important. I'm kind of interested in women who have a way with words and who can put them into a place to lead others in what God's heart is for us. I think there are people that are so good with words. Like, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know how to pray this, God. And I can then read a prayer that someone has written, and I'm like, that's it. That's my heart. That's my heart too. And so,
so women that join you in prayer and like creating a prayerful community.
Yes.
Okay.
Encouragement. We are for each other. So women coming in and just being willing to call someone and say, hey, you are loved, you're awesome, you got the Spirit, live it out. So I'm thinking like women who are willing to call other people. Like I want us to be doing that together.
You're going to need help with like running events.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Some of the administrative stuff and just pulling off an event.
Oh my gosh. That would be awesome. I mean, there are so many creative women in that way who can do events or.
For sure.
Gosh, I can't wait to keep brainstorming these things. But those are some ideas, and just being together, like envisioning. I want to know what the women wants, and so I'd love people to be alongside, just like even helping make those things happen that we need in our community.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think we really need each other, and I really want to work with all of the women.
It's an all hands on deck thing.
It is, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you then.
Yeah.
Redemption family. So what we'll do from here is we will, after you conclude watching the video, there's a jot form Meg should have there for us to be able to vote for Lisa to be installed as our Director of Women's Ministry and Care. And ladies, for those of you that heard Lisa just casting just a little bit of vision and brainstorming out loud right there, if that's you, if something's already stirring in you, reach out and let us know. Like, we want to hear from you. So again, thank you, Lisa, for your time.
You're
Give a love
welcome.
to Brian. And we'll see you all soon.
Sweet.